back to another episode of Unapologetic on WOVU 95.9 FM. I'm your host, Eric King, and this is our time to get together and talk and just chill. So, today we are finishing up our uh, old or our program or series as it relates to parenting. And today we got a very special guest, a brother that I've been knowing for years and love immensely. So let's just jump into it. So you don't always get the child that you want. You get, or the child that you imagine, you get the child that you have. Now, let me take a moment to just bring it back. Roughly about 5 years ago, my son was diagnosed with autism. And if you know, he's roughly about, so that was roughly around 11 years old. So to be honest, it was not a part of Joy and I's playbook. And when he was diagnosed, there was a level of overwhelming guilt that I had, not only for just period, just in general, based off of how I view my life and how I view things, but also how I showed up as a father and parented. And at that time, there was a lot of, a lot of, let's see, confusion, growth and whatnot going on. And just seeing this beautiful boy who has the same name as I do struggle in that way. It just wasn't vibing and it was causing, an issue within our household. So the diagnosis not only put, some things to rest, it also helped us within our household to gather how we wanted to move forward and what we wanted to do. Now, I'm not alone. As a professional, I work with, individuals who have to have that, get that hammer dropped on them frequently. And I don't believe that, in this day and age, which what's going on with the Tylenol and Trump and all of this stuff, I'm not sure that people actually, recognize or understand, how people are playing with this concept of neurodivergent and neurotypical. And so today we're going to talk with one of my closest friends and, just talk about his experience. And what you'll notice is this was pre-recorded because as he does, he is always out and about doing his thing. So if you're on social media, you're going to, for the most part, see me go from being in the studio to being, at the house, talking to my man. But before we jump into that, like I always like to do, I like to give stats. And according to the CDC, 1 in 36 children in the U.S. is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And when you widen the lens, about 1 in 7 children have a developmental disability of some kind. That's millions of family affected by, just simply wanting to have a child and this child being born at no cost to anyone in this way. So that is something that we're going to talk about today. And like I said, in my professional experience, whether it's something as autism or something such as depression or anxiety or something, it is always, having a diagnosis have done two things for families. First thing that it has done, it has helped families feel a little bit better about what they're going through because they have a name to it. The other thing is it's a hammer because they have to change the way that they life and what they're doing with their life. But here's the thing, none of us are fully prepared to be parent. A recent national parental survey found that 40% of parents said that in reality, it is harder to parent than they expected. And I've said this, and we've talked about this idea of parenting before, because out of everything that we do as human beings, having a child does not come with directions. And based on how well you have healed dictates how well you parent and how much you have allowed yourself to deal with whatever happened or whatever went on with your parents and ingested that and allowed yourself to grow from that. But parenting is just not simply about showing up. It's also the economic, it's also personal. You as an individual have to put to rest a lot of things that you may have done once you were not a parent, and you also have to make decisions based on this little person that you have. But hardships aside and everything aside, parenting is one of the most difficult. A lot of people look at marriage as being difficult. Parenting is one of the most difficult because the person that you have that child with, you're connected to that person for the rest of your life. And so by being connected to that person for the rest of your life, whatever child you get, whatever unhealing you have done, that comes out. So today we're going to talk about what it means to parent when the road doesn't look like the one you thought you signed up for. So whether it's a child with special needs or a child whose personality clashes with yours, we're simply, looking at reality and talking about reality and looking at how this thing called parenting works. Our guest today is Patrick Powell. Y'all may have known him from our friendship uh, episode that was roughly about 2 years ago. And recently, his wife, Tiffany Powell, was also a part of the show, but she was unable to make it this time. So we're gonna go ahead and talk to Pat. And Pat's and Tiffany's story is pretty unique. They have three beautiful children. All three are girls, and the first child, Bella, was born neurotypical, and the other two, Remy and Nico, were born neurotypical. Now, when you look at it from the outside, you would not know that this family or what this family is going through or the hardships that this family is going through because they carry it so well, and they carry it in a way that provides them the opportunity to grow, as well as provide them the opportunity to be a beacon for families that are going through similar things. So today that's what we're going to talk about. And as you'll see, we are going to this is going to be pre-recorded, and in that being pre-recorded, you're going to hear a lot of things in the background because he's actually in his car, and he was able to take time out of his busy day in taking care of his daughters, and just to sit down and talk with me. So I really appreciate him, and I really appreciate what he does. I mean, this dude, Pat now serves as the senior development officer at Children's Hospital of Atlanta. And so he has taken what he and his wife has gone through and has parlayed it into not only his mission that you'll hear about later, but also his occupation, which he thrives at and he does an excellent job at. So that is the fun that we're going to have today. But before we do anything, just as we do, because it's nice and dreary outside, I got to go ahead and allow just the studio just to heat up a little bit and just to get that mood. So what I want you to do is just take a step back, chill a little bit and allow the music just to hit you. So on the other side, we're going to start with my man, Patrick Powell, and talk about his journey and all the things that he's gone through. So sit back, turn your radio up, and just move your body. All right. See you on the other side. All right. So we're back from the midday mix. I hope everybody was able to get up, jump up, and have a time. So as you can see from those that are on YouTube, I am no longer in the studio. I'm at my home. So we recorded this early. My brother Powell is in the car. And as he tells me, there are times when things you may hear things and you just roll with the punches. So we're just gonna roll with the punches on this one, and we're gonna get through it. How that sound?
That sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, my man. So let's start it off real easy and smooth. So you are a parent. So just like me, you are a parent of three, and you and I have been knowing each other for I think this year's coming up on 30 years. Can you imagine that, bro?
Man, that's, you know, I look at it both ways. People say, man, where did the time go? And I also know where that time went. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time and it's also gone by quickly. So it's, I can see it from both sides.
Yeah,
But
man.
I,
It's been
I couldn't have imagined everything that's transpired over these past 30 years and kind of where we are now versus the knuckleheads we were 30
man.
years ago.
Right. We don't have to get into that. So we gonna keep it strictly on the here and now and the parenting. So let's
Uh-huh.
not get into that. So you and my sister Tiff, you guys have been married for how long?
16 years coming up in about a month.
Okay,
Exactly.
so
About a month.
16
Yeah.
years. And over those 16 years, you've had the opportunity to have three beautiful children. They're all girls, and we
Yeah.
all laugh about that. They're
That goes
all
back
girls,
to
but
the
we
that goes back to the to our prior statement.
right.
You get what you
So
earn.
Right, right. So if you think about it, what was it like? Like, because I know your story as parent, as being parented, and I think a lot of times in our adulthood, especially when we become parents, how we parent is dictated how we've healed from our process of being parented. So you and Tiff got a pretty interesting story. So what was it like when you realized that you were going to be a parent?
I would say that I was ready, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
and we were both older. We were in our early 30s, and so it's not like young parents where you're like, okay, how am I going to afford this?
Right,
Are we together?
right.
What does all that look like? We pretty much knew that we're gonna speed up this process, and
Hmm.
so we were married. I think 3 months after we found out, she was
Hmm.
expecting, and her mom and dad did an amazing job helping us put that all together. Everybody was very supportive, and again, we were grown, so
Yeah,
for
yeah.
us, I mean, there was that uncertainty that comes with, what are we going to expect? How are we going to do this? But we knew we were going to do it together, so we would figure it
Right.
out.
Okay. And so the first baby was Bella, and that was your
Yeah,
first entry into this world of parenting. What was it that you and since Tiff isn't here, and I know Tiff out there doing big things, so we're just gonna focus on you. What was the first thing you noticed about you in your parenting style that's totally surprised you in how you presented yourself as a parent?
that's a great question. I'm going to take a quick step back. So
Yeah.
I'm the product of a very young mom,
Hmm.
which has actually been a blessing because my mom and I are more like brother and sister, and so
Hmm.
we could have those types of conversations. Father was not in, part of my life, and but her being a young mom, realizing she still wanted to, have a career, be able to provide for me, and also
Hmm.
being a responsible mom, knew that, having my grandparents take me on, who were only in their 40s, was probably the right decision.
Yeah.
And I think it was the right decision. And so I'll tell you just a quick anecdote about my grandparents. My grandmother was an alpha, 100%. Head of the household, pants, slacks. I mean, she wore 'em. My grandfather was very, his, I always get confused on love languages, whether it was his or hers, but he was very
Right.
service focused. He
Hmm.
took me everywhere for all my athletic events. He made sure I had, stuff to eat during the day. I mean, he drove me everywhere, picked me up. That was his role in the family. And my grandmother was the breadwinner. She was the alpha. And so looking at their relationship dynamic, I knew and got an appreciation for kind of that service mindset because I knew I could do that with not a lot of thought. I knew that I could make sure she was safe. I knew that I
Right.
could help provide for her. I knew that I could be there and be present.
Right.
Those
Right. Right.
things were going to come natural. Um, what I didn't know, and I would come to learn much later, is how parenting evolves
Yeah.
and how the child needs different things along their individual journey. Um, I knew I would be a loving father. I knew I would be, again, a present father, something that wasn't there for me outside of my grandparents and them raising me. But those things I had control over. I think when she was on the night that she was born,
Hmm.
I realized the weight of it all. I
Yeah.
realized there was going to be much more expected of me, and she was born at 12:07 a.m. And so while
Hmm.
Tiffany was resting and getting and recovering, I remember holding her, kind of like, had her between my elbow and my hand. She was small and just like a football. And I just remember
Yeah.
sitting on the couch like it happened last night,
Yeah.
just feeling the weight of, now I'm the provider, I'm the
Right.
protector.
Right.
Tiffany wasn't working. She was doing a couple of different things in the moment, but I was going to be the one that would make sure we ate, that we had a place to stay, that we had
Hmm.
a car, that we had all these basic necessities that you would expect, or hope that your family would have.
Yeah.
Man, I just broke down right then and there because I mean, it really hit me.
Yeah.
like this is on me. Don't look
Yeah.
around the room. Don't look around the room. There's nobody coming in to provide an assist. I mean,
Right.
there were people that would help us and support us, family, but
Yeah.
this kind of on you.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
the
so that's
idea
kind
of
of how it
healing.
all started.
Yeah, yeah. So this idea of healing, what I heard you say was based off of you had an understanding of what your
Yeah.
mom went through and why she did the things, as well as what your grandparents did through, went through. When you have that first child and you're going through that healing process, what was the thing that when it got poked as a parent that you didn't recognize that it was there? Now, for me, I can recognize that this idea of time and how I utilize time was one to where I was like, oh, okay. So if I want to get up and go take a walk, I need to take this thing with me. What was the thing? What was the thing that got you to where you were like, oh, I get it now. I get like that one thing that poked you.
This is going to be a very this is going to be a very male or masculine response. Side note, I've got one of my children with me as I get ready
Right.
to make this comment, and I'm at my daughter's school and I'm watching her team walk right past my car as we're conducting this interview, and I can't respond to them because we're doing this. But going back to my point, something very, very masculine. I'm watching football on Sundays. And I wasn't as into college football at the time, but I love my Pittsburgh Steelers. But you drop your hate in the comments, Cleveland.
Right.
Um, I was no longer like I couldn't go out to the bar and get my wings and have a nice cold beer and just sit and have that have that moments for myself because I'm looking to my right and I've got one of these boppies, right? I forget, they call it a bumbo, or you
Yeah.
kind of just plop your child in it
Yeah.
and they just feed her snacks every now and then, make sure she's hydrated. But I'm no longer, it's no longer just about me in that moment. I've got this permanent appendage.
Yeah.
So those days are gone. Those days are gone, whether temporary or permanently. I got a partner with me now.
Yeah. Yeah. So first you had Bella, and then you had Remy. Is that right? 'Cause
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Remy's the middle child.
and so once you decided to have that second child, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's a decision. Us parents, we practice hopefully frequently, but then
Uh-huh.
once you had it,
Yeah.
you make that decision to have that second child.
Yeah.
And when you're going through that process and that 9 month gestation, how long into the pregnancy did you actually recognize that Remy was going to be neurodivergent?
I'll say this. Bella was, I think, 2.5 before Tiffany got pregnant with Remy.
Hmm.
Bella was just really advanced, really sharp, did
Yeah.
everything we asked her to do, was very extroverted. We'd go to the grocery store. She's walking
Yeah.
around. She's going up to strangers, saying hello, trying to shake their hand. We would go to the mall and go to these little play areas. You're trying to fill your time when you're a new parent. And I remember this woman coming up to me again, like yesterday, and saying, "Man, Remy, or I'm sorry, um,
Hmm.
your daughter is just really sharp. She knew her ABCs, all her colors, was very engaged, an extrovert." And I looked at Tiffany and just really proud, chest out, like, we're not only are we great parents, but this
Hmm.
is easy. I don't understand why other
Right.
parents are having such a difficult time.
What is this nonsense?
Yeah, I'm like, this couldn't be any easier.
Right, right.
We need to do this again. And so oddly enough, Remy came into the world,
Yeah.
and I don't know that we noticed it immediately. I
Hmm.
think it probably around the 6 month mark. We saw that she wasn't meeting some milestones and some things were just a
Gotcha.
little different, but we didn't have anything to compare it to
Right,
other than Bella.
right.
So in our minds, Bella was just extremely advanced, and maybe Remy's just taking a little longer to get there.
Yeah.
And so, as time went on, we figured out that that was not the case, and that we were not just dealing with something that we weren't familiar with. We were dealing with something that, based on the neurologists and the physicians that
Mhm,
we were taking
mhm.
her to, they were unfamiliar as
Right.
well, which you can imagine didn't bring us any
Yeah.
kind of comfort.
Right, 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 right.
So that's when we realized that we were
Okay.
in for a longer road ahead.
And you and Tiff moved a couple times. So at this point, I can't remember. Were you still in Pittsburgh or where were you at then?
Yeah, I was living in Pittsburgh at the time. She
Hmm.
was with a friend in Atlanta before we
Right,
got married and
right.
got our lives started. But I had taken a job in St. Louis, Missouri,
And with
and
Remy, is
so
that right?
this is before Bella,
Right.
and
So
so
when you had Remy, were you guys
yes, we
in?
were in Knoxville. We had
Okay,
moved back to
there you
Knoxville,
go.
and that's when
Okay.
Remy arrived. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And around that time you have family. So
yeah.
and at that moment, so you had your family. What did you as it relates to your marriage? Like what were the things that brought you and Tiff together to say, all right, so this is what we got and we need to move forward, not
Yeah,
only as mom and dad, but husband and wife first.
yeah. That's a challenge because Tiffany and I met in Atlanta, were married 6 months later.
Hmm.
2.5 years into it, we had two children. I mean, we were in like hyperspeed,
Right.
and so we knew we loved all of the kind of physical and some of the intangible things about each other, but for all intents and purposes, we didn't really know each other.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't have that time to really
Yeah.
know each other.
Right.
And
Right.
so we're learning each other. We're yeah, Nico, learning each other as parents and
Yeah.
everything in between.
Yeah.
And so um, we also had support with her mom and her dad, and at the time. But you gotta recognize the fact that, listen, this is brand new to them.
Right. Right.
They've got their granddaughter who was neurotypical, and so they knew how to have that relationship. But
Right.
when Remy came around, you know, much like us, like they didn't know, what do we how do we handle this?
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
we connect with her? How do we support, you know,
Hmm.
you know, how do they support me and Tiffany? Like all moms, I think Tiffany was hyper aware and hyper protective of Remy.
Yep.
And so, you can't just kind of just go in a neurotypical way in kind of
Yeah.
managing
Yeah.
the child.
Yeah.
There are just different
Yeah.
needs that she has that you got to be aware of. And so
Yeah.
she also had very active parents as well. Her mom was the president of the Knoxville Area Urban League. Her father was a very successful realtor, and so they're out at galas. He's into boule, and she's got different things going on. So they have a life, and so
Yeah.
it's like we're trying to fit ourselves in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and also get the support as well. So it was a challenge.
The thing that stands out about parenting with me is that it when people used to say it takes a village, that is actually real.
Yeah,
Right. It really does take a village to raise a child. And that a lot of times they're literally just talking about a neurotypical child.
yeah,
When you have a mix of the two, it takes the village, it takes the doctors,
yeah,
it takes friends, it takes family. And so I'm just glad that you guys had that opportunity to have, people around. When you look at you as a father as well as a husband, I know when I began the parenting process and I heard that my son was on the spectrum, there's a bit of guilt that happened with me because of
yeah,
how I approached that child and
yeah,
how I parented that child. And a lot of times because in what I do, I'm a therapist, there's a lot of guilt, right? When you get
yeah,
that diagnosis of neurodivergent, it is a hammer.
yeah.
Was there any type of any type of guilt or shame or anything that came along with once Remy was you got the diagnosis and understood what Remy was going through?
Yeah, there was a certain level of like, are we, we felt responsible,
Hmm.
and you start to do, you immediately start to do research. Tiffany, on your side of the family, is there anybody on the spectrum? Is there anybody with any type of neurological condition? On my side, um, I'm kind of thinking through, that same process, and then you're thinking about the fact that we immediately started a family.
Yeah.
We just started having children. Just we just went right into it
Yep.
without. And I think this is most parents. I mean, you're not thinking, is there anything that we need to be aware of that would cause us
Correct.
not to have children?
Yeah.
I would say the majority of people our parents are not thinking about that at all,
No. No.
unless it's just glaringly obvious,
Right.
and you're a sibling, right? This
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
something that you know a lot of siblings who have brothers and sisters who have been diagnosed or on the spectrum or neurodivergent. They,
Hmm.
they have to consider that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, about that. And so you do feel a sense of responsibility, but you immediately go into, again, research mode because, there are a lot of parents like us that, okay, there's something here. What is it?
Right.
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 And, you mentioned the support system. You go into team building now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we need a neurologist. If they're on the spectrum, where are their autism support services?
Right.
We need a physiatrist. We need a heart, maybe not a specialist, but somebody that focuses on the heart. We need a PT, physical therapist, an OT, occupational therapist, speech
Hmm.
therapist.
Hmm.
We need to start building out this team,
Right.
and it's not easy. I mean, you as somebody who has their own business, and you think about hiring talent,
Right.
it's not just as simple as going out and finding somebody with credentials behind their name. You got to find the right
The
therapist.
right people. Right.
And then if they're really, really good, how likely is it that they're going to stick around
Right. Right.
before they
Right.
may seek another opportunity elsewhere? So all of these things were happening all at once while we're trying to, again, learn each other
Hmm.
and learning that we also had very different parenting styles, which
Right.
would really become evident as Bella, our oldest, got older.
Yeah. Yeah. So you go through, you have Bella, been married for X amount of time, have
Yeah.
Bella, have Remy, and you guys decide to move to Atlanta at this time. Is that in between Remy and Nico or no? I can't remember.
Nico was born in Knoxville,
Okay.
and then we had all of our girls for a number of years before we decided to make the move
Got
to
you.
it. Yep.
So, all right. So once again, you decide to, have another child, and then
Uh-huh.
and then that next child is also neurodivergent. So we got Nico, and we're in Knoxville. And I remember at that time, if I can just be personal a little bit, I
Yeah.
remember at that time, just like just like pouring out, was like, all right, P, is everything okay? What do you need? And I think what was interesting is what you you evolved over these 30 years. And what I
Yeah.
saw was this amazing growth that you had that at at one point was like superhero-ish. And I remember thinking like this dude is freaking amazing because of the things that you were allowing yourself to go through. And remember, all this is a choice. And
Yeah.
now we got Bella, we got Remy, we got Nico, and you're still soldiering forward. And I never saw you waver, man. I just
Mm.
wanted to give you your flowers on that, bro.
No, I
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah, I just wanted to give you your flowers. So you have Nico. What was it in your brain that you said, all right, we're going to we have these babies. We're going to upend our life, leave our support system, and we're
Yeah.
gonna go and try it down in Atlanta. What was that like?
Well, let me hit the reverse button here really quickly
Yeah,
because you're a lot of times we marry women that are like our moms, right?
yeah, yeah.
And in this case, I married a woman that's like my mom, but a lot more like my grandmother.
Right, right,
Alpha.
right. She's
And
even an AKA.
yeah, exactly. So thank God for that
Yeah.
because there are a lot of things that I do physically, right?
Hmm.
So, at this point now, with Nico and Remy, it's very
Hmm.
physically demanding
Right,
because they're both they're non-ambulatory, and so they
right.
both are in strollers, and you've got to pick them up. You got to put them in their chairs, whether it's for feeding time or other types of situations, going upstairs, downstairs, from the bedroom to out to the car, into therapy,
Yeah.
all of those things, right? So physically, always been very demanding. Now more than ever because they're a lot bigger. I'm a little bit older, but the real work and the real superhero of this whole situation is Tiffany. She's been quarterbacking this thing for as long as Remy and Nico have been with us,
Hmm.
and it's really the most valuable parts of our life so far because she's on the phone, she's doing the research, she's talking to the
Hmm.
doctors,
Hmm.
she's setting up the medical appointments, all of this mental energy that she's exhausted for the last, Bella's now 15, going on 16, so like 14 years. Not to mention, you know, we talked about I was the main, provider and breadwinner when we got
Hmm.
together. Well, when I started my career as a fundraiser at Tennessee back in 2012, I'd have to travel across the United States.
Right.
And so at some point, it was just Bella and Remy. Then it became Bella, Remy, and Nico.
Hmm.
So, they're stair stepped as far as their ages are concerned: 15, 13, and 11, on 12.
Yep.
So she had these babies that had all of these needs. In addition, she had Bella, who is a developing, toddler. Um, and so we're talking cooking in the morning, changing, on the phone. She still has aspirations to do, to operate her business, which she started back into real estate
Hmm.
years after we were into our marriage. And so she was carrying a heavy, heavy load.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so one of the things that got us to move to Atlanta is kind of threefold. One, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, where I work
Right.
now,
Right.
was a nationally recognized and reputable healthcare system. So we needed access to the best and brightest. East Tennessee Children's did everything they could do for us, but we realized we needed more.
Hmm.
We needed to make more money. And also, with her being a Spelman alumni, there was a network here that was already built in and waiting for her to come and take off with her career. And so, and also Knoxville's a very rural environment, and so I think she grew up there and wanted to. She had bigger aspirations. Wanted to get
Yeah.
back into it more of a more urban environment with there a lot more things to do. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so when we talk about heroes, she's the superhero. I'm the Robin to her Batman. I just want to make that clear.
I do.
One,
I
because it's
do.
true.
Right. Right.
Two, because she's going to probably see this.
Yeah. I
And
did. I did.
while
Yeah.
you were giving me the
Yeah.
flowers,
Yeah.
my brain was like,
No, for real. I think what's funny is you and I laugh about this. I think we've said this before. Like we married up. I know I say I married up all the time, and right, right. So I know the wife that I have is the wife that I needed. And when I went through when I went through and was doing the checkbox, right? There are so many things that I left off in the wife that I wanted, and the wife that I got, surpasses the checkboxes. Now, it's not easy. We've been together 20 years. You guys been together, what, 16? Is that right?
yeah,
So you grow together. But I would like to also say that, Tiff is amazing. She's been on the show. If y'all can go back and look at her episode, she talked about real estate and money, and she is amazing, and she is an alpha, and she is someone that I remember meeting her and was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be interesting for Pat, and just and just look at it, man. She's a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit, and I just hope everybody gets a chance to not only follow her, Tiffany Powell, on LinkedIn, but also, watch the episode where she just dropping nuggets. And I think in the background, she was doing something right before she went on. So big ups to
yeah.
Tiff. She's also an AKA. My wife is an AKA. They're two different breeds. I mean, the
Mhm.
AKA is different. All right, let's get back on it. That way, we can we can close out. We can close out. All right, so you go through this, and what I want to bring back up is this idea of service. you went from Tennessee and you came to Atlanta, and first you worked at Morehouse, right before you are where you are right
Morehouse School
now.
of Medicine. Yeah.
And you and Tiff have turned, what you're going through in your life into your life mission. Like even
Hmm.
in your position now, as it relates to what you do, if you go on to Pat's LinkedIn, what you see is some amazing photographs and video of them living their life and living their purpose and turning not only their life, but it also, what they did do in their life, but into their purpose. Explain how you were able to connect all this together, not only from the service and, your background with your grandfather, but just deciding that, all right, we're going to give our all to this cause that we're going through and help other families.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that Tiffany's really great at is reminding us that we can be doing more,
Hmm.
right? There's always more to do. And I will tell you, I mean, in all honesty, being a parent, number one, is exhausting.
Yeah.
But you ratchet it up now when you don't have the ability to say, hey, daughter A, son B, get your iPad, go to your room and,
Right.
and go watch a movie for a couple hours. That
Right.
doesn't exist in our world, right? You've got to imagine, the type of energy you had to put forth when your baby was just a baby, a
Yeah.
toddler, young. That level of energy is required. That level of commitment is required for parents out there who have kids that are neurodivergent, especially if you have a child that's on the spectrum. And it's a significant case.
Hmm.
That takes on a whole nother element that goes beyond what we do to a large degree. Very demanding.
Hmm.
But Tiffany made it plain. Like if we don't do this, right? If we don't commit fully and then some, our girls will never, have the kind of life and the quality of life that we owe them. We
Yeah.
brought them here,
Yeah.
right? Not the opposite. And so there's not a day that goes by that she's not constantly trying to research, read, something where she's trying to learn. Is there something out there? Is there a new approach? Is there some type of new treatment or therapy that can benefit our girls?
Yeah.
Are they, are we getting them out to the sun, get vitamin D? Are they having the right supplementation? We have chiropractors, we have all of those therapists I mentioned earlier on in the show. We're very active with them outside and trying to stimulate the brain. So that means if we went somewhere last weekend, let's go somewhere new this weekend, somewhere
Hmm.
new next weekend, because that helps
Yeah.
their neurons fire and creates new
Yeah.
memory. And so we know what we're managing. It was only a natural fit for me to transition from Morehouse School of Medicine, which creates great doctors, great mental health specialists and
Yep.
MPHs, into something that worked more better for my family, which was Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. And I worked for the foundation there. We raised money for dozens and dozens of different causes.
Yeah.
But I understood clearly when I see a parent come in with a child to one of our hospitals or clinics, I understand immediately whether their son or daughter is neurodivergent or neurotypical. That's a demand on their time. That is a demand on them physically and emotionally. How through my work can I make that easier?
Yeah.
Right? How can I align my passion and understanding for that in a way that supports that family and those families and those kids?
Yeah.
Um, with Tiffany, she's focusing on real estate, and that is the one of the fastest way to create resources,
Yep.
which again benefits our family. A lot. We did a trust not too long ago with an attorney, and the
Hmm.
one thing that he shared was you were not going to find a lot of wealthy special needs families.
Right.
Those
Right.
dollars are
Right.
pretty much spoken for. And so we knew that we would have to generate a lot of revenue in order to provide
Yep.
the best care for our kids. And going back to me, there's a lot of families that are in great need, that are underserved, underinsured, or uninsured. They don't have the resources that we have. And so we had to try to find a way to take care of us, take care of them, or at least shine a light on them, which I know I try to do through my content. creation, and so that's what inspired us,
Yeah.
to get as invested as we are
Yeah. Yeah.
in that space.
What's interesting is you and I went to PWIs, or predominantly
Yeah,
white institutions. Both of our wives went to HBCUs, and this
yeah,
idea of service, even with Joy, giving her flowers, this idea of service comes with being at a HBCU, and just to hear that, Tiff. And it's like, all right, we got to do all this. It
yeah,
just is a testament to HBCUs in this moment while they're being attacked, and someone believing that they should not exist. So big ups to anyone that graduate, from an HBCU, and you've earned the arrogance that people say that you have, because that idea of service, I just want to commend. What did you have something you wanted to say on that?
yeah. And I was just thinking, when I think about my experience both at Akron and Tennessee, as it relates to what you just mentioned with Joy at Fisk and Tiffany at Spelman, it's almost like working for a big corporation
Hmm.
versus owning your own business kind of
Yep.
mindset.
Yep.
The thing that I noticed about Tiffany is that there is a it's not a connection, it's a bond.
Hmm.
Not only
Hmm.
with her graduating class, but every young woman that'll ever come through that school.
Yep.
There is
Yep.
there is a connection there because one, they instill in them, listen,
Hmm.
this is your university, this is your college. You deserve to be here. You're gonna be excellent. You're excellent now, but you're gonna be even more excellent when we're through with you. And I
Yep.
want you to take that out into the world and not just apply it, but I want you to apply it at the highest level. That is your responsibility.
Yep. Yep.
Going to Akron and going to Tennessee, both institutions that I love, you're more of a participant in the process,
Yep.
right? I know I walked away, even though I love both, I didn't feel like I had an ownership stake.
Right. Right.
So when we talk about HBCUs and what they do, for their graduates, and I'm thinking about Morehouse as well, man, it's like the experience is unparalleled,
Amen.
and
Yeah.
and how they empower them because they know that they need to do that. That's part of the journey. How they empower them to be successful and instill in them that, listen, you could either have a seat at the table or you can also build your own table.
I was just about to say
And that, yeah,
that.
you can have your own table and you
Right.
can invite others to come sit at your table.
Right.
So, that's I mean, that's just excellence, man. And
Yeah.
so it's only right that when they, get out and into the working world that they kind of demand that, not just
Yep.
of,
Yep.
in the work world, but of their partner or whomever
Yep.
or the people
Yep.
people around them. That's just part of it.
Yeah, that's just it's just funny how that work out. And anybody that graduated from HBCU have that same ethos. All right, so let's land the chip so that we can get you going. All right, so what are some resources? I mean, you heard the stats that I went over in the monologue.
Yeah.
What are some of the resources that are out there for families that are going through? Because, like you said, it does cost money to go through this, and that
Yeah.
money needs to be purposeful. And so, if we're looking at being purposeful, what are some resources that families can connect with based off of what you've gone through?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest resource, one that comes to mind is the Katie Beckett waiver. I don't know
Say
the
it one more
full.
time. Your mic went in and out. Say it one more time.
Oh, sorry, Katie Beckett waiver. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I got you.
So Katie Beckett, and I don't know her full story, but I think she was a mom of a special needs child decades ago. And for some reason or another, I don't believe she had the resources to be able to provide medical care for her child.
Okay.
Fast forward decades later, there's an actual waiver paperwork that you file for the state, and it's very arduous. Um,
Mhm.
some people even pay specialists to fill out the documentation for them.
Right.
But you get financial resources from the state that allow you to get different therapies, um, and the things that you need medically speaking, so that you're not coming out of pocket. So I would
Yeah.
say learn about Katie Beckett and the Katie Beckett waiver.
Yeah.
Secondly, there are a number of foundations, small and large, and I don't. This is where Tiffany comes in. Small and provide like either these micro grants. And when I
Hmm.
say micro grants, it may be $1,000, right? There's some other organizations that provide larger grants where it doesn't matter how much money you make or how much money you don't make, they can award financial resources to you to care for your child. And
Gotcha.
so those, you really have to do your research there. Um, and so there are things like that in addition to, and I always confuse Medicaid and Medicare.
Yeah, I do too, and they pay us, but I get
You
you.
do make sure your children are eligible for one, either one of those.
Yeah.
Make sure you're exploring all of those different options. And then two, and this is for anybody that might decide to move to the state of Georgia. Um, we have one of the greatest healthcare systems here in Children's
Hmm.
Healthcare of Atlanta. It's inclusive also of the Marcus Autism Center. Now, Bernie
Okay.
Marcus, who just passed not too long ago, he's one of the co-founders of Home Depot, and that's where
Hmm.
he made a lot of his money alongside Arthur Blank, who is also a huge supporter and helped us build the hospital. The Marcus Autism Center, I don't know that it's the largest, but it's the most prominent center for autism in the
Okay.
so for anybody that maybe thinking about a move,
Gotcha.
to Georgia.
All right. So if we're looking at it based off of, so I'm gonna break this up into two, and so that we can get to our next break, I'm gonna break this up into two parts.
Okay.
I'm gonna break it up as an individual as well as a couple. So if you're looking at it based at a couple who has, children that are neurodivergent, what are some things that you would like to, pour into these couples to help them, move forward and
Yeah.
just collaborating together in order to support their family?
You must find some time for yourself, and as hard as that is to consider with all of the demands on you, I'll give this stat here, and I don't know this stat, but 80% of marriages for families that have neurodivergent children end up in divorce.
Mhm.
And most often it is the husband. And now someone correct me if I'm wrong if you see this and you find out it's something different. But from based on what I've heard, it's usually the husband that steps away.
Mhm.
And I mean that's soul crushing
Yeah. Yeah.
um, for me because I can't see I don't I couldn't comprehend it.
Right.
One is somebody who you made a commitment and stood before God and friends and family and said, I commit to this woman. You committing to the children that come as a result as well. And so being able to step away from that, I just can't. I could never. Me personally, I could not do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm speaking for myself and the conditions that the hand that we're dealt.
Right.
Um, so make time for yourself. Staying physically active and making sure you're getting out and sweating every day or every other day and taking that 20, 30 minutes, an hour to yourself. If you can find it, you have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it is not optional for you. You will lose your mind because of all the demands that are on you. You have to do it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, there are communities, there are resources, you're not the only one dealing with what you're dealing with. So there are resources, there are help groups. You have to decide if that's something that's going to make you feel supported or if that's something that's going to drain you.
Right.
We're not involved in a lot of kind of like support groups.
Hmm.
Tiffany is very kind of like energetically empathic, and so she can't help but to dive into your situation with you,
Yeah.
which we've got our own situation. And so if she's taking you on as well, she can't help but want to help you. That's just how
Right.
she's made.
Hmm.
And so you've got to figure out, what kind of special needs family are you, and do you want to get involved with community? Is it going to be, or is it going to exacerbate your situation?
Right. Right.
So that's the other side of it.
All right. So let's get it as an individual. When I look at you, you also have a company. You're a drone pilot.
Yeah.
And uh that's your hobby, it appears, as well as something that you
Yeah.
do to make funds. So, as an individual, what are some, when you're going through these things, what do you have to tell the individual on how to stay centered within themselves so that they can show up for their family?
Yeah, I mean, it's therapy for me. I love flying. I mean, you can't tell me there's a difference between piloting an airplane and piloting a drone. That's the way it makes me feel. And so, whether I'm working with a client or whether I'm just out practicing, and a lot of times my girls will be with me. They'll be my
Hmm.
co-pilots, and um, I'll be flying responsibly.
Right.
But maybe while I'm, on an automated flight, I'm giving snacks.
Right, right,
And I'm going
right.
from one side of the car to the other side of the car. You get snacks, you get a snack while I'm doing what I do. But for me, that's a release,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
also an opportunity for me to take the girls with me, so Tiffany can focus on whatever she needs to focus on,
right.
and just get a chance to breathe. And
Yeah.
so it serves a dual function. And so, whatever you find therapeutic, again, it could be working out, it could be,
Hmm.
I know there's a lot of gamers out there. If you can steal an
Right.
hour just to kind of game and get your head back, do that. But
Yeah,
whatever it is, you need to your partner needs to give you space and give you time for that, because there's only one way to bring your best self back to the table, and that's if you're getting some of what you need.
right, right, right. Because you got to commit to yourself in order to commit to other
Oh yeah,
people.
you got
And
to
when
put
you
your
do,
mask on first.
yep, and when you do that, when you commit to yourself, and you can better commit to other people and be there for other
Absolutely.
people. So I really appreciate you spending time with me. Where can they, the 2 to 3 listeners that I got, where can they find you? Where can they find you and tap into just that Patrick Powell and also that drone life you do?
Yeah, yeah. I spent a lot of time on IG, so it's at Drone Media ATL.
Hmm.
Sounds just like it's spelled just like it sounds. You can find me on LinkedIn, Patrick Powell, Powell on LinkedIn. A lot
Yeah,
of times I'll share some content from IG in a different way on LinkedIn, and I share a lot of, or as much as I can, of a lot of the galas that I attend, and different organizations that are raising money to support children. Um, and a lot of the kind of professional work that I do, you'll find on
yeah,
LinkedIn as well.
yeah. All right, my man. From Beaver Creek, former University of Akron football player. What was it? Ex-roommate of Hall of Famer Jason. What's his name again?
Jason Taylor, he's in Miami, man.
J-
He's doing great things.
Jason Taylor's all the way
Yeah,
down to the family man and just making an impact, man. I really appreciate you spending time with me and appreciate all that you do, bro.
I appreciate it, man. Great interview. And for those three listeners, I hope you find something you can take with you.
Tell Tiff I said what's up, and hopefully next time we get both of y'all together, because you've done the show on friendship, she's done the show on real estate, but and you're doing this, but we've never had you two together, and I think it would be a great time, especially if Joy and I are doing an interview,
That might be great.
because Joy, I don't know if you've seen it. Joy and I did an interview, and she was, she ready to get back on the mic, as so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you, bro. And go ahead and take care of all them beautiful babies, man.
I sure will.
All right, peace.